All right, so we're still moving towards graphing and finding equations of circles. That's the last piece of geometry that leads you into Algebra 2. So here we are. This is lesson 9. We're headed downhill now towards the end of the semester. We need to factor quadratics first where the a value is equal to 1. What do I mean by the a value? Well, the a value is the value of a quadratic equation that is before the x squared value. So we need to make sure that a equals 1 first. If a equals 1, we follow this nifty little flowchart, and it's all based off of the c value. Well, where's the c value? The c value is here at the end, and it's called the constant because it doesn't have a variable on it. So the first thing we do is we find our c value. Once we locate our c value, we ask ourselves if it's positive or negative. If our c value is positive, we're going to follow the left-hand flow. And if our c value is negative, we're going to follow the right-hand flow. Then we need to look at the b value. Where is the b value? The b value is in the middle because alphabet A, B, C. So the b is your linear value because it has a singular x on it. And we ask ourselves, is the b value positive or negative? And again, if it's positive, we go to the left. And if it's negative, we go to the right. Well, if c is negative, we ask the same thing, is the b value positive, negative, and we get our answers. So I want to show you how this works in action, okay? So I have my little flowchart set up, and the first thing we do is we find our constant value. The constant value for this equation here, x squared plus 7x plus 10, is positive 10. So what we're going to do is in the constant, we say it's positive 10. So since my constant is positive 10, I'm going to follow the positive path. Now I ask myself, is my b value positive or negative? Here's my b value. My b value is positive, so I'm going to follow my positive outcome. And what that tells me is that both of my factors are going to be positive. Both of my factors are going to be positive, and I'm going to be adding them together. And you're like, okay, Miss Meyer, what does all this mean? Well, check it out. Let's write down the factors of 10. We have positive 1 and positive 10. So if I have positive 1 and positive 10, the sum is 11 and the product is 10. My products match, so that's good. My sum does not. So because my sum doesn't match, these are not the factors I'm going to use. What are other factors of 10? What times what is 10? The next set of factors is 2 and 5. 2 plus 5 is 7. 2 times 5 is 10. So since 2 plus 5 is 7 and 2 times 5 is 10, these are the factors that I use. In my quadratic, I would write x plus 2, x plus 5. A lot of you are going to remember this from Algebra 1. Some of y'all saw it as a fill-in chart. Some of you have never seen this before, but it's really cool. And it helps you know what to do without making things difficult. Let's go to the next problem. This time we have x squared minus 13x minus 14. The first thing we do is we identify the constant. Where is the constant? It is negative 14. So since my constant is negative, I'm going to take the negative path. Now, is my b value positive or negative? It's the 13. Is this a positive 13 or a negative 13? It is negative. So what that means is my greater factor is going to be negative. Okay, cool. So what does that mean? What are the factors of 14? So you might say 2 and 7. Well, what I just figured out is that the greater factor has to be negative. The greater factor is 7, so 2 and negative 7. 2 minus 7 is negative 5. 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. That matches. Good job. Uh-oh. This does not match. So these are not the proper factors. Well, what else multiplies to give you 14? It's really easy. 1 and 14. So if I have 1 and I have 14, which of those numbers is going to be negative? My greater factor needs to be negative, so that means the 14 will be negative. 1 minus 14 is negative 13. Check. 1 times negative 14 is negative 14. Check. These are my factors. So how do I write that? I write that as x. Now that 1, is that 1 positive or negative? The 1 is positive. And the 14 is negative, so I write it as x minus 14. So these are my factors. If you remember from the last lesson we did, once you get your factors, you can then graph the quadratic. Because your factors give you your zeros, you have your y-intercept, and you can graph the whole thing. I just want to focus on the factoring right now. Let's go down to another example. What is our constant value? What is the constant value? Your constant value is positive 48. Okay, so if my constant value is positive 48, I'm going to follow the positive flow. Is the b value positive or negative? Okay, let's find our b value. Remember, goes A, B, C for your terms there. My b value is negative, so I follow my negative flow. That means both of my numbers will be negative. Both of my factors will be negative. So 48 is a bigger number. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to make sure you hit all of your factors. I like to start with 1. So we have negative 1 and negative 48. We have negative 2 and negative 24. Let's see, we have negative 3 and negative 16. We have negative 4 and negative 12. We have negative 6 and negative 8. And then we can stop because the next factor after 6 would be 8, and then we would just be starting over again. Negative 1 plus negative 48 is negative 49. Nope, that doesn't work. Negative 2 plus negative 24 is negative 26. Nope. Negative 19. Ooh, I'm getting closer. I'm trying to get negative 14. Negative 4 plus negative 12 is negative 16. So we're really close. Negative 6 plus negative 8 is negative 14. Negative 6 times negative 8 is positive 48. Do my C values or constants match? Yep. Does my b value match? Yep. So my factors are -6 and -8. So we would write x minus 6 and x minus 8. I like this method because it takes away the whole which number is positive, which number is negative question. If you follow your flow chart, it tells you what's going on, and it makes factoring a lot easier for those of you who struggled in Algebra 1. Here's our last one. I'm going to go just a little bit quicker. My c value is not 36, it's -36, so I'm going to follow my negative flow. My b value is positive, so I'm going to follow my positive flow, which means my greater factor is positive. So I'm taking the factors of -36, but it's going to be a positive number and a negative number. So my greater factor will be positive. So that means it would be like -1 and positive 36, -2 and positive 18, -3 and positive 12, -4 and positive 9. And then you'd start over again. Well, -1 plus 36 is 35. That's not what I'm looking for. -3 plus 12. Oh, that's 9. Neat. Okay, what's -3 times 12? It's -36. There's my factors. So I wind up with x minus 3, x plus 12. And I'm done. So it takes a little bit of practice. What you have is you have 4 practice problems here at the end. And you're not going to have, oh, my bad. So there's your 4 problems at the end. Do those 4 problems. If you have questions, please email me, text me, or join me on WebEx, and I'm happy to talk to you. Have a very good day, my friends.